After what feels like a long hiatus, Victoria Grasela is back with us from the United Way of Greater New Bedford. Victoria is the United Way's Vice President of Marketing and Community Engagement. Today we're talking about the United Way's Changemaker grant program and also the mobile market program, which is going successfully in Wareham and New Bedford. So Victoria, welcome back.
Jim, thanks so much for having me. Always great to see you. You're right. It has been quite a while, so we need to fix that.
I think the last time we talked with you was the food drive.
It might have been
November.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is the Changemaker grant program and how does it work?
So our Changemaker grants have been around since about 1995. They were originally called the mini grants program when they first launched, but we've changed the name, we've rebranded it. Just to really make it sound what it is. You know, we want organizations to come forward and make change that they're seeing. And these aren't our everyday organizations who we know are doing great work every day. These are small groups of people. It could be you and your couple of best friends. It could be your PTO. It could be any number of groups that are all volunteer. And they're coming together to create change that they're seeing. You know, the great organizations in this area can only do so much, and we can only see so much of what's going on. But you in your neighborhood or at your school or, really just anywhere in Greater New Bedford, you're seeing issues that we're not seeing and not able to address. Whereas now we're empowering you to do that change yourself. So these grants are in place for groups that have all volunteers. They have a budget less than $40,000. It really could be you and your friends sitting in a room saying, hey, we really need X. And people are coming together to do this. So over the years, we've funded hundreds of projects in the community. Some of them are small one-time projects that happen, and then maybe it's some kind of event. Or Jim, I'm sure you're familiar with like little libraries in the area.
Sure.
Those all started as Changemaker grants when they started years ago. So there are some that continue to live on. There's murals that have been painted around the city that were Changemaker grants. Even some organizations, I'm sure you're familiar with Youth Opportunities Unlimited, but before they were called Youth Opportunities Unlimited, they were known as Trips for Kids, which actually started with a mini grant. So, people grow their missions and they try out something and see how it works. And this is a way to do that, is to apply for these Changemaker grants.
So how many applications are funded every year and for how much?
It's really varied how many will be funded. It depends on how many projects we get in and making sure that they fit the criteria. Grants are up to $2,500. So you can do actually quite a bit with that money. We awarded Changemaker grants for a long time just once a year. Now we're on a twice a year schedule. So we do some in the winter, and then this is our summer fall session. So some of the projects that we've recently funded, just to give you an idea of some things that we've done recently, is the Friends of New Bedford Public Library are doing care kits. So once a month, they're putting together these kits that people can pick up at the library. It encourages people to go to the library, the library honestly has so much to offer. And so these care kits are just one more thing. So whether it's a sewing kit to teach you how to just mend the hole in your shirt, they've done plant kits so that way you can learn to grow your own fruits and vegetables. They're thinking about what else can we be teaching, a little bit more hands-on outside of the full library that we have. Another project, which is a really, really cool thing happening down in Wareham, it's called the Wareham Core. So they have a playground down in Wareham where they are putting together little plaques that go next to different items at the park and at the playground that are ASL friendly. So if it's a slide, there's a plaque next to the slide with the hands spelled out as slide in ASL. So that way it's more accessible for folks that are not able to communicate verbally. They are seeing this and reading the ASL on there. So that's just a really cool way to embrace different communities in different ways.
All right. How can people obtain an application?
So applications are all right through our website. So if you go to unitedwayofgnb.org, you'll see right on that front page, there'll be a picture for the Changemaker grants. We are accepting applications now through August 17th. If you have questions about whether your project's a fit, or if you want to talk through maybe you have a small idea and you want to know, would it be a great project? You're welcome to call our office. Christine is the one that really spearheads this initiative, and she's happy to talk through any kind of project with you. Just to say like, hey, have you thought about this? Maybe try doing this, and she's the one that leads our grant reviewers through the process, and she kind of knows like what people are looking for in those projects.
What's the deadline to submit applications?
So again, your application deadline is August 17th. You can find all the information in the application right on our website.
Okay. So some people might be interested in this. Who picks the projects to be funded?
So that's a great question, Jim. So our grant review is different than others. It's a United Way tradition that it's not the staff sitting in a room just picking projects. We bring in volunteers from the community who are reviewing those projects and giving their feedback. So all of the investments we make, whether it's through a Changemaker grant, through a community impact grants, it's all done by community reviewers. So I will put a plug out there. If anybody is listening and they are interested in doing something different, maybe consider reading some of these grants and scoring them and giving your feedback. We'd love to hear from, so many community members have done this before, and we'd love to hear from new folks that might be interested.
So the danger in one of these programs, in any of these programs really, is that you end up funding groups more than one time. You do that?
We do. We will fund groups more than one time, but we will not fund for the same thing. So, for instance, if a group came to us, let's say for these plaques for this ASL communications board, and they came to us last year for it, we'd want them to come with a new project. So maybe there's some other component where they're making that playground more accessible in a different way. Mm-hmm. So we're always encouraging people to think a little bit differently, to think outside the box, but to come up with a new project for the following year.
And again, it can be non-profits who might apply for a project. It can be smaller community groups, and it can be a group of individuals who just say, hey, this needs some attention.
Exactly. We're really looking to empower volunteers to do something. This is all part of our volunteer initiatives that we have at United Way year-round, is really empowering those volunteers to create their own change.
All right. You mentioned some recipients who have done some work, and I'm sure you are impressed, and the United Way is impressed. You put your money here towards this, and it's worked out pretty well. Any other ones you want to highlight?
One of the other ones that we're really proud of that has recently been funded is Be the Solution to the Pollution. So they are out doing area cleanups to beautify the community. I mean, what better way to create change than just beautifying?
Perfect change maker right there. You are listening to Town Square Sunday. I'm Jim Phillips. My guest is Victoria Grasela, the Vice President of Marketing and Community Engagement for the United Way of Greater New Bedford. We wanted to talk about another program, the Mobile Market Program, and it's active, up and running in Wareham and New Bedford. So tell us what that's all about.
So the Mobile Market is really one of my favorite programs that we have at United Way. This is actually our 12th season where we are handing out free fresh produce to families and residents in both Wareham and New Bedford, as you mentioned. This is done weekly. It's done after families get out of work. So it's really focused on people who are working and unable to go to a food pantry during the day. As we know, food pantries, they operate typically during a work day. So if I'm working but need the help, I can't always get there to get what I need. So this is really targeting people who are not able to go to food pantries. All of the produce that we give out is grown right in Dartmouth at the Sharing the Harvest Community Farm, which is part of YMCA South Coast. We are so thankful for their partnership on so many things, but especially this program would not be possible without their support. So each week we are passing out any number of produce, vegetable items. So on Tuesday night, when we were in Wareham, we served over 100 families in our hour and a half that we were in Wareham on Tuesday night. They got things like summer squash, zucchini, cucumbers, kale, tomatoes. And then as the season continues, we'll get more produce items. Sharing the Harvest listens to the feedback of people coming to the markets of what kind of vegetables that they're using, so that kind of determines their following growing year. So we make sure people get what they want. We also try and put out some new vegetable items every so often to get people try new things. So last year, the big one was kohlrabi. So I had never even heard of this. So I'm probably going to get this wrong and somebody will correct me out there, but I believe what it is some kind of like an onion, like it's an Indian style onion. Mm-hmm. And so it's prepared similarly to, you saute it, you can put it in anything is what I was told. So on those kind of items that are new, and I don't know what they are, you don't know what they are, we'll put out recipe cards. So then you know how you could prepare these with things you have in your house already. And so we're trying to do some of that education piece too. So mobile markets take place every Tuesday in Wareham, every Thursday in New Bedford, 5:30 to 7 o'clock, and people can come get that food that they need.
Okay. Now, I did some checking on this program because it's a wonderful program, folks. You really there's a full schedule of dates for both communities, Wareham, New Bedford, on the website, United Way of GNB. Tuesdays in Wareham, Thursdays in New Bedford from 5:30 to 7 p.m. It's a free program. Healthy produce to individuals in targeted neighborhoods in Wareham and New Bedford. Do you move around? Do you have a couple of sites in Wareham?
So in Wareham, we only have one site. So we're right outside the Wareham Middle School. There's a fairly large parking lot there that works well for us. And then in New Bedford, we do bounce between the north and south end. So we alternate weeks. It's at the Bank 5 on Acushnet Ave in the north end, and then on County Street in the south end. So that way we can make sure that we're getting a good number of New Bedford folks coming out.
And you're getting a good number in terms of.
We do. So we started on July 14th was our first day of mobile market. That first night we saw 88 people. So for first night, that is actually very high. That's usually like mid-season numbers. But it just shows like the need is there and people, are coming out to get this fresh produce. They want to eat healthier. It is so expensive at the grocery store. So this is a great way to get items in their hands. And then since then, we've just seen the numbers increase every single week in Wareham and New Bedford.
Is it mandatory for folks to register for this program?
Yeah, we do have a registration that you can find on our website or you can do when you get to the market there. But that's really just so that way we can collect some information. We want to know how many people we're serving each week, how many people are in each of one of those households. So at the end, we can say, here is our impact. Here's how many people we were able to give produce to. None of that information that we collect is shared with anybody. That's just for us to have internally. It's also so when you come back the next week, we can find you in our system and check that you came. So again, we can count those numbers.
What does it take behind the scenes to keep the mobile market running?
That's a great question, Jim. So there are a lot of moving pieces. Of course, we've got our Hunger Commission truck who is out on the road 5 days a week, picking up anything from produce to non-perishable items and getting it out to our partners or through mobile market. So, Terry's on the road 5 days a week getting that done. So he's going every which way. It's working directly with YMCA South Coast and the farm to make sure those items are prepared, ready for us to go on a Tuesday or Thursday night when we're picking it up. It's getting the word out. That's, half of it is getting the word out, letting people know to come see us on those nights. The weather is its own battle. So we will be out there, just so everybody knows, rain or shine, we are out there. We did have to cancel last week with that crazy thunder and lightning storm. Right. The second we see lightning, we do have to pull the plug for safety reasons, of course. But if it's a monsoon and no lightning, we will be out there in the rain. We want to make sure people get what they need.
What kind of response or feedback have you received from residents and families who utilize the mobile market? I know you're there to provide this service, this wonderful service. But do you ever get a chance to talk to people?
We do.
Okay. Tell us about the feedback.
So anytime I go to a market, it's not necessarily every week that I'm personally there, but when I'm there, I'm constantly talking to people to hear what they have to say, things that they would like to see us have for produce, things that maybe they're not using as much of. But at the end of every season, we survey all of our participants that come. So that way we can learn more about what they're looking for. So I can tell you early on in our mobile market days, there was a lot of items like squash and eggplant that was being grown because it was like, okay, we want to get the quantity out. But then we started really listening to people and we're like, you know what, we need more of the stuff that's lighter. Like kale doesn't weigh anything. So it's not giving that big number of what we gave out, but it's giving the people what they need, being more culturally thoughtful too about what people are eating. Obviously, in the Sailor area, kale is huge, with our populations that are here. So we listen to that feedback that our folks are coming to Mobile Market and telling us, and then that will determine what the farm grows in the following year to make sure that we're responding to what people actually like. So we definitely grow far less eggplant these days because there's not a lot of people that love it. I know, some people, it's kind of you love it, you hate it. But now we're growing more, lettuce, leafy greens, things that are higher density quality, not just the quantity of the weight.
All right. Again, how can people sign up for the mobile market program?
So you can sign up right up on our website, unitedwayofgnb.org, but you can also come right to any one of the markets. You'll see when you get to a market, there'll be a row of vegetables set up with volunteers. I mean, this is like fully volunteer run for the most part too. Of course, our truck driver is on site and then, our staff will pop in. But most of this is volunteers that are out there handing out that produce. So we're also always looking for volunteers too. All of that can be found right on our website at unitedwayofgnb.org.
Okay, what tasks will they perform?
So volunteers help with, taking stuff off the truck, setting up the market. They are the ones standing behind the produce and they're handing it right out to you and saying, hey, do you want carrots or do you want cucumbers? And maybe you like carrots, but you don't like cucumbers. And you just let the volunteers know. They'll put it right in your bag. I know we've had Town Square out a handful of times to volunteer with us. It's just a great way to give back and get to talk to people in the community too.
All right. My guest has been Victoria Grasela, Vice President of Marketing and Community Engagement, the United Way of Greater New Bedford. Thank you, Victoria, for coming in.
Thanks so much for having me, Jim.
And we'll be talking to you soon, I think,
yes.
Based on some other information
yes,
we'll talk about. Next, an encore segment on tips for safe boating. Town Square Sunday continues.